Smoke rose from the burnt wreckage. The ground was covered in black ash, metal scraps, and silence. Only the sound of crackling fire and a distant alarm filled the air. Marcus, human soldier in a dusty survival suit, stepped carefully over broken panels and twisted steel. His ship had crashed just a few hours ago, hit by surprise enemy fire from a hidden orbital station. Now he was stranded on a foreign world. Somewhere deep in enemy territory, he raised his blaster and scanned the area. No signs of life. Or so, he thought. Then he heard it. A soft cry, barely louder than a whisper. It came from beneath a pile of broken cargo crates near the destroyed alien dropship that had gone down beside his. Marcus paused, narrowed his eyes, and moved closer. The sound came again, a child's whimper. He dropped his weapon and rushed to the wreckage. Carefully, he pushed aside hot panels and broken metal. The heat stung his gloves, but he didn't stop. And then he saw her. A small alien girl, no older than 7. She had soft lavender skin, strange glowing blue eyes, and small fin-like ears. Her body trembled under the debris, and her breath was shallow. Her legs were trapped under a twisted beam. She wasn't human, but she wasn't a threat either. Marcus knelt beside her and whispered, "It's okay. I'm here to help." The girl flinched and tried to move away, but she was too weak. Marcus grabbed a broken metal pipe and used all his strength. To lift the beam off her legs, she screamed in pain, but didn't cry. Her bones were likely broken. He pulled her gently into his arms. Her skin was warm to warmed fever. He looked around. Survival Pack was back at his escape pod. It was a long walk, but there was no choice. He began walking. The girl gripped his armor weakly. "Name?" Marcus asked softly, unsure if she could understand him. She blinked. Lips dry, then whispered something in her own language. He couldn't understand it, but he nodded anyway. "Don't worry," he said. "You'll be safe now." Hours passed. The alien sun was setting, painting the sky orange and deep purple. Marcus set up a temporary camp near a small, rocky ridge. He placed the girl inside a thermal blanket, gave her water, and crushed 2 fever tabs. Into a liquid tube, she didn't resist. She was too tired. That's when he heard it, a sharp noise. In the dark footsteps, Marcus stood, his blaster in hand, and stared into the shadows. Then she appeared tall, graceful, and terrifying. An alien woman stepped forward, easily over 6 feet tall. Dressed in a torn warrior's robe, her eyes glowing, like twin stars. She held a long energy spear, her body tense and ready to strike. Her gaze locked on the girl, her daughter. Marcus stepped in front of the child. "I'm not your enemy," he said calmly. The woman didn't move, but her eyes flicked to the girl. She saw the blanket, the water, the bandaged legs. Her expression changed. She lowered the spear. Slowly, she approached and dropped to her knees beside the child. Her hands trembled as she touched the girl's face and whispered in her native tongue. The girl's eyes fluttered open. "Mama." A tear slipped down the alien woman's cheek. Marcus watched silently. Then the woman stood and faced him. She didn't speak his language, but her eyes said everything. She nodded, a gesture of respect. Of thanks, Marcus relaxed. But he couldn't help wondering, who was she? Why was she alone? And how had her daughter ended up in the middle of a war zone? The fire cracked behind them, and the alien woman sat down near her child. Marcus sat on the other side, 2 strangers, from 2 different worlds, brought together by one small life, and neither of them knew what was coming next. The alien woman didn't sleep. She sat near the fire, unmoving, watching her daughter with eyes full of pain and questions. Her long fingers brushed the child's hair again and again, gently, as if she feared the girl might vanish if she stopped. Marcus didn't sleep. Either he sat across the fire, arms crossed, blaster beside him. His eyes never left the woman's spear. Though she had laid it on the ground beside her, the silence was heavy. No words were spoken. But so many thoughts burned between them. Marcus had seen alien warriors before. Most were aggressive, trained to kill humans on sight. But this woman, she was different. Her eyes didn't show hatred, just sorrow. Deep sorrow. And confusion. As the night grew colder, Marcus unzipped his thermal coat and gently placed it beside her. She stared at it, unsure, until her daughter coughed in her sleep. Then the woman covered the child with the coat. For the first time, Marcus saw something like trust flicker in her glowing eyes. Dawn broke slowly. Pale light crept over the rocky ridge. The woman finally stood, tall and proud. She lifted her chin and walked toward Marcus. Her steps were slow, graceful, almost royal. Marcus tensed. Would she strike? Instead, she raised her hands in front of her chest and bowed slightly. Her voice, when it came, was soft but steady. I am Ilana. Marcus blinked. You speak English. She nodded once. Enough. He nodded back. Marcus. They stood there for a moment. Two names, one fragile bridge between them. Ilana pointed to the child. You helped her. Marcus looked down. She was trapped. I couldn't just leave her. A strange expression crossed Ilana's face. It wasn't common for her people to receive mercy, especially not from humans. They were enemies, weren't they? She is all I have, Ilana said quietly. Marcus understood that kind of sentence. He'd lost people too. Brothers in war. Friends in flame. He glanced at the girl. She's strong, he said. She didn't cry once. Ilana sat beside the girl again. Her name is Laura. Marcus nodded. Pretty name. A long pause stretched between them before Ilana spoke again. Why? Why what? Why did you save her? Her tone wasn't angry but filled with wonder. You could have left, walked away. Marcus sighed and looked at the sky. Because I saw a child, not an enemy, that's all. Ilana's hand trembled slightly as it rested on her daughter's blanket. She looked away. My people would not do the same, she admitted. I know, Marcus said honestly. Neither would many of mine. They shared a quiet, sad smile. The world around them was broken, but in this small circle of warmth and fire, something was beginning to heal. Suddenly, Ilana reached for a leather pouch hidden under her belt. She pulled out a small glowing stone and placed it gently in front of Marcus. He frowned. What's this? A life bond stone. She said softly. A token of life. Debt. My people offer it only to those who save our blood. Marcus hesitated. I didn't do it for a reward. Ilana met his eyes. I know. That's why it means more. The stone pulsed one soft blue light in rhythm with her daughter's shallow breath. Marcus picked it up slowly. It was warm. Alive, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, she whispered. Just keep it. In that moment, Marcus realized something important. This wasn't just a thank you. This was something ancient, something sacred, and something was changing between them. Not just between man and alien, but between protector and mother. And though Ilana said no more, the way she looked at Marcus had shifted, as if she no longer saw a stranger, but someone chosen by fate. As the sun rose higher, Ilana stood again and looked toward the horizon. We are not safe here, she said. Others will come. Marcus tightened his grip on his blaster. Then we move. Ilana nodded slowly. Together, the stars came out like scattered silver dust across the black sky. A soft wind blew over the rocky hills as the fire crackled between them. They had found a small cave for shelter, just large enough for 3. Bodies, 1 warm fire, and too many thoughts. Marcus sat near the fire, sharpening a piece of metal into a blade. He didn't trust his blaster battery to last much longer. Ilana sat across from him, silent, holding her daughter close. Laura was asleep, her head resting against her mother's chest, her breath slower now. The fever had dropped. She would live. But what came after life? That was the question hanging between them. Marcus had never spent this much time near an alien. Not without orders. Not without weapons raised. Now, he was watching her eyes reflect. Firelight, her warrior's braid, undone. Her sharp features softened by care. "Your people," Ilana said quietly, "do they take children from war zones?" He looked up, surprised. "Sometimes," Marcus replied. "If the place is too dangerous, yes." "Do they raise them?" "Yes." She nodded slowly, then paused. "Would you raise one not of your kind?" Marcus met her gaze. "If it meant saving them, yes." She studied his face for a moment, as if searching for a lie and finding none. "Ilana," he asked, "why were you and Laura out here? Why weren't you with your people?" She looked down. "I was exiled," she said. The fire cracked between them. "For what?" She hesitated. "Then, for choosing peace." Marcus blinked. "You were cast out for wanting peace?" Ilana nodded. "I was a battle leader. My mate was killed in the last war. I spoke against fighting again. I said, maybe it was time to stop. And they threw you out? They said I was weak, that I shamed his death, that my child would carry my failure." Marcus clenched his jaw. "Then they're fools." Ilana blinked. That wasn't the answer she expected. "You don't think peace is weakness?" she asked. "No," he replied. "Not when you've seen what war really is." There was a silence. Then she asked, "And you, Marcus? Why were you alone?" He sighed, setting the blade down. "My team was hit. I was the only one who made it to the pod. When I woke up, I was here." Ilana's eyes softened. "So we are both alone." He nodded, but not anymore. She looked at him, longer this time. There was something different in the way she looked now, not just curiosity, but quiet trust, and something deeper, almost hidden. "I've seen humans in battle," she said. "It's ruthless, wild. But you, I'm not like most," he interrupted. Almost tired of defending his kind. "No," she said. "You are not." Her voice dropped low, almost a whisper. "You carry pain. And patience. That is rare." He didn't know how to answer that. She leaned closer. The firelight danced on her skin. "We believe that sometimes. The stars choose who we meet. That those who save our blood are bound to us." Marcus didn't reply. Not right away, but he felt something shift in the air. Ilana reached into her satchel and took out a tiny silver ring, not human-made, etched with alien symbols that glowed faintly. "This was given to me by my mother," she said. "For my mate?" Marcus frowned. "You don't have to, I know," she whispered. "But I want to." He didn't take it. Not yet. "Ilana, what are you saying?" She looked straight into his eyes. "I'm saying," she said, voice calm but clear, "if you choose, we do not have to stay alone." Marcus's heart beat harder. Not from fear, but from something else. The wind outside howled against the rocks, but inside the cave, warmth spread. The girl in his arms, the mother before him, and a moment that might change everything. The morning was quiet but not peaceful. Marcus sat near the entrance of the cave, watching the fog roll across the valley below. His hands rested on his knees, his thoughts somewhere far from this alien planet. Behind him, Ilana moved silently, preparing. crushed herbs over hot stones to ease her daughter's breathing. Laura, still weak, lay on a soft bed of cloaks, her skin now cooler, her eyes half open. Marcus had seen war. He had seen what fear looked like, but now he was seeing something else, something that scared him more than bullets. A bond. He had not asked for it, and yet, here it was. "Ilana," he said without turning, "what you said last night, about the stone, the ring, about not being alone." She didn't answer right away. Then he heard her footsteps, soft and steady, coming closer. "In my culture," she began, "saving one's blood is not just a good deed, it is a binding act. A life debt." Marcus looked at her. "Meaning what?" Ilana knelt beside him, holding something wrapped in red cloth. "You saved my daughter. You protected her when no one else would. According to our ways, I owe you everything." "I didn't do it for a reward," Marcus said gently. She nodded. "I know. That is why the debt runs deeper." She slowly unwrapped the cloth. Inside was a folded piece of armera, beautifully woven neck piece, made of silk steel and laced with silver markings. Marcus could tell it was something ceremonial. "This belonged to my mate," she said. "He wore it the day we bonded." Marcus blinked. "Ilana?" She placed it on his lap. "You do not have to wear it. Not now, maybe not ever. But if you accept it, it means you are part of our bloodline, not just as a protector, but as one of us." He stared at the gift. In human tradition, medals were given for acts of bravery. In her culture, it seemed love and honor were one and the same. "I don't know your customs," he admitted. "I don't even know if your people would accept this." "They won't," she said without emotion. "They already cast me out. This is my choice now, not theirs." Her voice lowered. "You didn't just save Laura. You gave me hope again." Marcus ran a hand through his short hair, unsure of what to say. "No one's ever offered me something like this," he whispered. "Would you reject it?" She asked softly. He looked up. Her eyes held no pressure, no force, only honesty. "I don't know what this means," he admitted. "But I know this. I'd never let anything happen to you or Laura. Not while I'm breathing." That was enough. Ilana smiled, not a small smile, but one that made her eyes shine like morning stars. "I accept that as your word," she said. Marcus picked up the neck piece. The fabric shimmered in the sun. Strange how something so soft could carry the weight of two lives. He didn't put it on, but he didn't hand it back either, and Ilana understood what that meant. Later that day, they packed what little they had. Laura could walk with help now. Though she leaned heavily on her mother, Marcus made her a walking stick from a branch. She smiled at it like it was treasure. The bond between them was growing stronger. Not because of tradition, but because of choice. And sometimes, choice meant more than any ceremony as they prepared to leave the cave. Ilana touched Marcus's arm. "There is one more thing," she said. He turned. "My people believe that a life once accepted, links the souls, some say forever." Marcus gave a half smile. "That sounds dangerous." She stepped closer. "It is." Then she leaned in and whispered against his ear. "But so is loving a human." Marcus didn't move. Her breath was warm. Her voice was calm, and something inside him whispered back, "Maybe forever isn't so scary." The journey across the valley was quiet, but tension traveled with them. Laura walked between Marcus and Ilana, still weak, but smiling. More often now, the child hummed softly, a tune Marcus couldn't recognize, something native, something sweet. But behind the music, trouble was coming. Ilana felt it in the air. She knew they were close to the outer edge of her former tribe's territory. A place she once called home. It's a place that had cast her out when she chose peace over blood. Now she was returning. With a human Marcus didn't know yet. She hadn't told him. Not that they were walking into danger. Not that if her people saw him, they might kill him first and ask questions. Never. Is something wrong? Marcus asked quietly as they stopped to rest near a spring. Ilana didn't answer at first. She sat beside a tree, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Laura drank water from a leaf cup Marcus made, unaware of her mother's silence. I didn't tell you, Ilana said finally, but the path we're on, it leads near my tribe's hunting range. Marcus narrowed his eyes. Will they see you as a threat? No, she said. But they will see you as one. He nodded slowly. Because I'm human. Because they think you took me. He stared at her. Did I? Ilana looked up, and then her voice dropped low. No, I chose to follow you. Marcus let out a breath, then said with quiet firmness, then they'll have to deal with that. They won't understand, she said. In their eyes, I am broken. You are. Beneath them, Marcus looked away, his jaw tight. Funny. Some humans think the same about aliens. A long silence fell. Then she asked, do you regret saving Laura? A key turned sharply. Never. Ilana's shoulders relaxed a little, but the tension wasn't gone. Because even if they believed in each other, the world outside the cave didn't. Single quotes. Just as they were preparing to move again, a sound echoed through the trees. A whistle, sharp, warlike. Ilana froze. Scouts. Marcus instinctively pulled Laura behind him. Blaster already aimed. 3 figures emerged from the trees, tall, armored, spears raised. Alien warriors. Members of Ilana's tribe. The one in front stepped forward and barked. Step away from the child, human. Marcus didn't move. She's mine now, Ilana said firmly. Gasps followed. She bears your blood. The leader shouted. You bring shame walking beside this creature. He saved her, Ilana snapped. He saved your future. You would give yourself to him? The warrior spat. He is an animal. A war beast. Marcus clenched his teeth, but didn't fire. Not yet. I offer myself by my will, Ilana said, stepping beside Marcus. No. The leader raised his spear. You are not one of us anymore. Marcus felt Laura shaking behind him. Something inside him snapped. Then you don't deserve her, he said coldly. He raised his blaster, but Ilana put a hand gently on his arm. Let me try, she whispered. She stepped forward, unarmed, brave. If you kill him, okay, she said calmly, you kill the one who gave your people a second chance. The warriors hesitated, not because they agreed, but because her voice no longer shook. She is mine, Ilana declared, pointing to Laura, and he is my choice. The warriors turned away in silence. Not acceptance, but no bloodshed today. As they vanished into the woods, Marcus turned to her. You didn't have to risk that. Yes, she said, her voice soft but proud. I did. He looked down at Laura, then at Ilana. We can't go back, can we? No, she said. But we can move forward. Together. Night fell too fast. The forest around them had grown darker, thicker. The wind carried strange sounds, whispers of creatures Marcus didn't recognize. Laura was asleep again, her head resting on his arm. Ilana kept close, eyes alert, fingers never far from her spear. They had found shelter inside a hollowed cliff, surrounded by thorny roots and tall stone. But danger had followed. Ilana had warned him before. We weren't the only ones exiled, she said. Others roam these woods. Bandits, broken warriors. They have no tribe, only hunger. Marcus didn't sleep. He knew what was coming, and it came fast. The first sign was a flicker movement. In the brush, then the snap of a branch. Then glowing eyes. Marcus rose slowly. Laying Leora down and grabbing his blaster, 5 shadows emerged from the tree's tall, wild-looking aliens with rusted armor and sharp claws. Their faces were hidden, behind broken war masks. Their language harsh and filled with snarls. The leader stepped forward and pointed at Ilana. "Give us the girl." And the human, Ilana, didn't flinch. "Over my body." One of the bandits laughed. Gladly. Marcus aimed, but his power gauge blinked red. 1 shot left. 1, the leader. Charge. Marcus fired straight through the bandit's chest. The alien dropped. Then all hell broke loose. The remaining attackers rushed forward. Ilana spun her spear and slammed it into one of their legs, sending him to the ground. Another one tackled Marcus, claws slashing his arm. He rolled, gritting his teeth, and smashed a rock into the attacker's face. Blood sprayed. He rose again, fists ready. Ilana was surrounded now 2 against 1. She fought like lightning, her moves graceful and fast. But she was tiring. Marcus? Lunge, tackling one from behind. Together, they fought, back to back. Not soldier. An alien, not man and woman, but protector and mother. The last attacker grabbed Laura. "No." Ilana screamed, but before the creature could run, Marcus grabbed a fallen spear and hurled it straight through its back. The alien dropped, Laura crawling away in tears. Then it was over. Silence. Only the sound of breathing, of pain, of heartbeats. Marcus dropped to his knees, blood running from his shoulder. Ilana fell beside him, clutching his arm. "You're hurt." "I've been worse," he said. Smiling, she tore a strip of cloth from her tunic and pressed it to the wound. "You didn't hesitate," she whispered. "You're my family now," he said without thinking. The words came out fast, but true. Ilana froze. Then she leaned forward and kissed his forehead. Soft, not passionate, but sacred. "You fight like a beast," she said softly. "Yeah," he smirked, "but for the right reasons." She smiled, and something passed between them. No more questions, no more barriers, just quiet. Burning understanding. He wasn't her rescuer anymore. He was her protector, her chosen one. And when the stars rose above them again, she didn't sleep. Apart, she rested beside him, with Laura curled safely in the middle, together as one. The sun rose slowly, casting golden light through the trees and into the ruined shelter. It touched the torn cloth of Marcus's jacket, the shine of Ilana's worn armor, and the peaceful face of the little girl still asleep between them. It was over. For now, the bodies of the attackers had been burned. Their scent would keep predators away for a few days, but Marcus knew this was no longer just about survival. Something else had been born in that fire. A bond stronger than language or war. He stepped outside quietly, his wounded shoulder wrapped tightly, his movements slower than usual. The wind was cool, brushing through his hair. Ilana joined him a moment later. She stood beside him, silent, arms crossed. Neither spoke, because sometimes silence said more. Then she broke it with a question. "Would you take her?" She asked softly. Marcus looked at her. "Take who?" She nodded toward the cave, toward the sleeping child. "If I fall, would you keep her safe? Raise her?" He turned fully to face her. "You're not dying, Ilana. I know," she said gently. "But I have to ask." Marcus didn't hesitate. "Yes, I'd protect her like she was my own." Ilana's eyes shimmered. Not with tears, but with something deeper. A peace she hadn't known since her tribe exiled her. "I believe you," she said. Then she reached into her pouch. From it, she pulled a thin silver chain. Attached was a glowing stone, soft blue, like a calm ocean. The life bond stone. She held it out. "You accepted the armor of my mate," she whispered. "But this is mine." Marcus froze. Ilana. She took his hand, placed the stone in his palm, and closed his fingers around it. "In the old ways, when a bond is final, we whisper one phrase," she said. Only once, never repeated. He looked down at the stone. It pulsed with warmth. And then she stepped closer. So close he could feel her breath on his cheek. Her lips brushed his ear, and in a voice full of strength, "Pride and something sacred," she whispered. "Make me yours." His heart skipped. Because it wasn't just a proposal, it was surrender, it was trust. It was her choosing him, not out of gratitude, not out of culture, but out of love. Marcus didn't speak. He didn't have to. He simply wrapped his arms around her, gently resting his forehead against hers. "I already did," he whispered back. They stood there for a long time, two survivors of different worlds, holding on to something real. Inside the cave, Laura stirred, blinking at the sun with sleepy eyes. She crawled to the entrance, saw her mother wrapped in the human's arms, and smiled. "Is he my new father?" she asked, half yawning. Ilana looked down, then back at Marcus. He chuckled. "If she have me," Laura nodded. "Only if you teach me how to fight like you." Marcus laughed. Ilana smiled wider than she had in years. In that moment, they were no longer just refugees, no longer exiles. They were a family, not built by blood but by choice. And in the great silence of the woods, three hearts beat together beneath one sky, bound by war, healed by love.